Thank you for watching another episode of the Boat Geeks. If you are liking what you're finding here at our channel, please hit the thumbs up below.
And please like and subscribe so you don't miss a future episode.
Absolutely. And you can comment too. Feel free to comment.
Yeah, we love to hear what you think.
Thank you. What does sustainable wooden boat building mean? What is sustainable wood?
So I think it's at every juncture, you are giving yourself the time, you're patient with the choices you make. Mm-hmm. You also note the other choices you could have made. Mm-hmm. You share that knowledge as well so that everyone grows with it.
Sure.
You also take risks because if it's always been done this way, it will always be done that way.
That's not enough reason to do something just because it's always been done a certain way. Yes, I agree.
And obviously there's some things that you're just like, this is done because, it's going to break if you do it like that. Mm-hmm. So it's also, you're trying to gauge quite how to push things and where to push things. Mm-hmm. There's the choices, and then obviously money comes into it. You've, invested a lot and just gone, right, I believe this is something that needs to change. You also want
From the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival and recorded in the Fisheries Supply, live from the Wooden Boat Festival stage, it's the Boat Geeks with Darren and Daeron.
We're the Boat Geeks, whatever floats your boat. We're the Boat Geeks.
Welcome to another episode of the Boat Geeks podcast, special edition, coming to you live from the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival 2024. I am your host, Darren.
And I'm your other host, Darren. We are in the Fisheries Supply live from the Wooden Boat Festival stage. And our special guest,
Yes.
all the way from across the pond, is Obie with BlueTree
Boat Builders. Right?
Well, welcome, Obie. Maybe you could say that for us because I just butchered it.
no, BlueTree Boat Builders.
Thank you. Oh, you say it really well.
Do you have a website or social media or anything that
we do? So Instagram and website, BlueTreeBoatBuilders.com.
Okay, excellent. You were mentioning you're sleep deprived. We're sleep deprived. So bear with us on just pronunciation, enunciation, everything. We're doing our best. But how's the festival been for you so far? Are you having a good time?
It's been amazing. Just looking at all the different boats, but also the interest, the smiles. Mm-hmm. And it's like eye smiles. Sorry, I went slightly American there.
Is that not something you're used to? I know that's off-putting maybe for some people.
Boat festivals, not.
Yeah. Okay. Because boat people are happy people often.
Yeah. So it is just this kind of total interest and engagement, which is, you can feel it in the air.
Yeah, it's palpable, totally.
It's natural here at the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival. It's not the same feeling at every boat show. Mm-hmm. And as Jake Beatty likes to say, this is not a boat show. It's a festival.
Yes.
And so there is a different vibe and a different energy, which we all thrive on.
Well, how do you find the energy over here as compared to home or the people or just anything? The weather's a little similar today, right?
Yeah, it's very similar today. So foggy. You can hear the horns over the water. There is a different. I'm trying to think how to say it
without insulting people or without.
I think it's an openness and so it's kind of arms open and willing to give you a voice, which I think is really, really needed. And I think it sounds like it's a Port Townsend specialty as well.
I mean, there's definitely areas that are special, like Port Townsend. We happen to love where we are, and we think it's a very special place. Is this your first time in the U.S.?
No, I've been to various other bits for weddings and randoms, conferences. Yeah. But I've not experienced something like first time in Port Townsend.
Welcome.
This end, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you gave a presentation this morning, right?
I did, yes.
And that went well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, hopefully.
What was it about? What were you talking about?
So sustainable boat building. I had been a designer in my previous life, but also now, and decided to change tack and went to the boat building school in Lyme Regis in the UK. and just fell in love with wood. And it was, I'd expected to love the sailing or the rigging, that kind of thing, but just I'd never worked with wood before, hadn't had the opportunity in my life. And obviously, so I'd also done a ceramic design course as well as an interior design course. So it was this new material. You learn it's malleable, it will kind of move with you, and also you learn, I call it patience at a human kind of level, scale, or it's
patience is not something a lot of people have these days. I feel like over, a certain amount of decades, because of media and different things, people have run out of patience, and so I can totally see when you're a craftsperson, your skill level and the type of stuff, patience is necessary. Beyond just necessary, it's a virtue, and it's part of what you're doing, and probably very Zen and so forth too.
It's meditative, yeah. So it's flow, from I'm going to butcher his name, Chismahli Mile. Yeah. So
We're not gonna be able to correct
Said that perfectly. Really.
So I apologize, but so it's this idea of working at a task that pushes you, but also that, you get into the zone. And it's kind of seen as it's not happiness, but it's this idea of enjoyment and fulfillment where
Content.
you just get, you get kind of something back that's not tangible, but so I feel that's what I get with boat building.
I had a friend that liked to use the word contentment.
Yeah.
And that is what I think a lot of people in the wood boat building industry, there's a certain amount of contentment with the work.
Yeah.
And that's also not something a lot of us have.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
feel like
absolutely.
the world is missing contentment. So what about wood? Do you remember that moment when you're like, wow, I love this. This is going to be my future. What about wood sold you over?
I think it was its ability to be fixed, and also to, you can fail at it and it's not breaking. Like, I want to say
Not
the
the
bank.
end.
Yeah, it's not the end. That's the word. You can fix things, and you learn that there's a very kind of line of judgment where you don't want to go too far, and you learn to just kind of go, okay, I'm just going to go a bit slower now because in the past I've gone too far, and then I've gone too far. So there's this kind of learning and being gentle with yourself. So it's kind of caregiving in this really weird way.
Sure.
Yeah.
I understand. Having a wooden boat, I totally understand.
Well, but you're at the wooden boat school, right?
Yes,
and
yeah.
you're learning to use wood, mold it to what you want. At that point, were you now going, I want a career, or had you already established that course?
I hadn't established it. So I got a career break from Ikea. I was working at Ikea at the time. It was towards the end of COVID, and they happily gave me 2 years in the end. And I was going to go back to Ikea to work, and then decided to set up a boat building company with a few of the other students there. And we, looked at our values and how that would fit in with, what we wanted to do. Obviously we'd learnt wood, but it was like, well, you don't have to necessarily do a wooden boat. You could, if we're wanting to choose sustainable materials, why wood? So we've looked at other materials as well, but we just think wood is this amazing, material, but also regenerative material. We call it readopting wood because we think it is the future. And so we just were like, okay, let's do this. Sustainability is a given in everything that we try and do. And obviously there's things that there's judgments you have to make that say it's a cost thing, or it's a
Compromises.
Compromises, or something's just about to come on the market, or you saw something 2 years ago that you're like, that's what I'm going to use when I get there, and you can't find it again.
Which is very real.
Yes, so it's that where you're like, oh, but I wanted that anti-file that it was actually made from amazing, like some kind of bio. Anyway, so sorry, specific point, but it's that there's all these potentials that I think at the moment, when you do look at the range of boats or materials, you kind of go, oh, we could push this further, and that's what we want to do. So we're trying to be progressive and pushing steering the marine industry into a new course.
Are you pioneering this back home?
So I would say pioneered. I'm not sure if we're pioneers, because I think, it's a bit full of yourself.
Other people can say that about you, but you're not going to say it about
Can we
you.
describe your company as a pioneer in sustainable boat building back home?
We're small, so I do feel that we're starting out as pioneers in
Good.
inverted
Okay.
commas and trying, because it's really hard.
Sure.
We kind of, there is that faith thing that you need where you're like, it is worth it because we are going on an unsustainable kind of route at the
You
moment.
believe 100% in what you're doing.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
you just
yeah.
got to keep at
And
it.
other people need to believe in it too.
You
Yeah.
need to sell them on it. The Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival, an annual celebration every September, the weekend after Labor Day. Hundreds of incredible wooden boats, an amazing slate of seminars and workshops, and fun activities for all ages. The Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival, a project of Northwest Maritime. Tickets and information at woodenboat.org. And so I'd love to know, what does sustainable wooden boat building mean? What is sustainable wood?
So I think it's at every juncture, you are giving yourself the time, you're patient with the choices you make.
Mm-hmm.
You also note the other choices you could have made.
Mm-hmm.
You share that knowledge as well so that everyone grows with it.
Sure.
You also take risks, because if it's always been done this way, it will always be done that way.
That's not enough reason to do something just because it's always been done
Yeah,
a certain
yeah,
way. Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
And obviously there's some things that you're just like, this is done because, it's going to break if you do it like that. So it's also, you're trying to gauge quite how to push things and where to push things. There's the choices, and then obviously money comes into it. You've, invested a lot and just gone, right, I believe this is something that needs to change. You also want to have it so that people can come up behind you. I am mixed race. I'm not, whether this is a visual thing, and also being visible to people. I like my privacy, if that's the right way to say it.
Sure.
So I'm not out there. But I realize that having a face like mine, having, photographs taken or, some kind of representation is important for other people.
Absolutely.
To then go, so the female
Inspiration.
thing. Yeah. Or just that thing of, and I fell into it. I think, so I did a PhD, risk taker, but also experimenter, from my kind of background, but also I've never seen someone doing what I want to do.
Right.
But I think other people might need more, visible or tangible, like, they've done it, so I
Yes.
could do it.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah.
essential and super important. And that's amazing that you're doing that. How long has your company been?
So we've been a company for a year, so very, very new. It's been in the, I would say in the pot, the ingredients have been in the pot for a couple of years. So just giving it a good go. I think with boats, you do need to show what you're thinking, as in build a product.
Yeah.
But as well as the product, we've got this kind of research base. We call it Harmony. It was Project Harmony. We've dropped the project. And it's this kind of, right, let's get this information together. Let's look at it from different areas, angles, like where we are, the people who are there. In the end, it's all about people. I know it's or beings rather than people, creatures. And then the product is kind of a byproduct, the boat. But yeah, we're trying to change things.
Awesome.
That's we had the executive director of the Northwest School of Wooden Boat Building and the lead boat building instructor, and they like to say they aren't really teaching boat building, they're teaching craftsmanship, and the boat is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
So, where in England are you?
So we're based in Dorset. so Lyme Regis and Dorset, which is on the border of Devon as well. So I technically live in Devon and go across the border, but it's in that area.
Did you know Abby from over there? Do you know Abby?
I do know Abby, but not before. So she's in Norfolk, so it's above London. Yeah.
Geographically, I don't know UK at all, but I do understand that it's not next door to each other. Were you aware of what she was doing? Did you apply any of like, she can do it, I can do it? Starting a boat building business, I mean, that is a leap of faith.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love that you did that. I love that you said, here's something I want to do with a group of people, and just did it. That's kind of the way I've been since I was a teenager. And I totally understand that drive and that motivation and that excitement. What's it been like this first year, and what are you working on?
So we had a boat design fair. It's based on a Salcombe launch. And then we were going to cold mold it with Vendia, which is this sustainable plywood from Finland.
Okay.
So the UK doesn't have many boat building trees left.
Yeah.
And then the plywood that we could have used other woods. So sweet chestnut's probably the wood that you could source from the UK. And then some of the other boat building woods are from West Africa. More durable hardwoods. And we just thought, no, we would like to try this other wood that's, Finland is far, but it's not as far as West Africa.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it, as in, so we saw them at the Metz Trade Fair. So imported some samples, researched, the finishes, the resins we'd use, and then went ahead with building this boat based on those kind of material choices. That's what we chose at the time. And so now trying to, I would say it took us longer than it should to build the first boat because, the decisions to do certain things just take longer. But now that we have that under our belt, we're able to speed up. And then what we want to do is get fast enough, if that's the right way, because there is
efficient.
Yeah, efficient to be able to kind of say to people, this could be done with, it isn't like older boats where there's not as much maintenance, if that's the right way to say it. And I think people see wood and they just see maintenance. You have to maintain any boat. And so, we're just we're trialing this to see if we can compete with we call it GRP or FRP, fiber reinforced plastic boats. To kind of, happy to talk to people who are doing GRP to say, oh, look, have you thought about this? And I think it's a speed thing for people, or, the velocity, rather than, the patient one where you're kind of going, it's, once you've got the first one under your belt, you can make multiple ones, but it's made from this material that you're actually sequestering the carbon inside the boat. So that the carbon in that wood stays in that boat. And if that boat is maintained and it's not, if well or whatever, it's, it's going across generations. It's not a 30-year, 60-year lifespan, and then you have this massive issue with what you do when it's disposed. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much.
No,
not at all.
Fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you have your own physical space, a shop, a yard?
Yeah. So we found a space a year and a bit ago. So it's about a mile in from the boat school that we went to. And then gorgeous landlords. And we were able to the shop, or the yard we call it, is it had former boat builders in. So we bought the machines off them.
Nice.
And then, we were able to, it's small, but it can be scaled. And it's just a beautiful spot. We've got the river running, kind of like trickling by the side of the river limb.
Nice.
So when we have our I won't say breakout, that's my past life. When we have our kind of lunch breaks and things, it's just this beautiful, beautiful scenery, beautiful nature surrounding us.
Sounds like a nice place just to be content to exist in.
Yeah.
Has the concept that you're pioneering obviously you're going upriver with this, but what has been the reception? I mean, obviously there's going to be people that are very receptive to the idea and help you promote it. And there are those that are going to say, no, you don't
That's
need
not
to
the way
do
it's been done for
that.
300 years.
Exactly.
So
But, so how is that going in terms of changing the world?
So there's positives and negatives. So we've only been out to 2 boat shows at the moment. And, you know, with one, we'd been there the year before. It's called the Green Tech and South Coast Boat Show. And the year before there were smaller boats, greener boats. And then this year there were bigger plastic
So it's catching
boats.
on.
Well, no, it was... It had kind of, I think COVID had maybe changed something so that...
Changed a lot.
Morphed a
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
Okay.
So we were kind of next to these massive catamarans, and so we just were swamped.
Yeah.
And we looked like a little dinghy. And it's a small boat, but you've got to start somewhere.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with dinghies. If the boat floats, then we love it.
Yeah.
And you do need to start somewhere and scale up.
Yeah. But it was this, it looks quite striking. We feel, you know, you could make it your own, you know, from a design kind of viewpoint. And then for like, there's not as, well, this boat show is just amazing because you've got this breadth and wealth of wooden boats.
Sure.
And kind of sailing vessels as well as motor vessels. And so, yeah, it's kind of, we want something like this over there.
Something else for you to do.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I think at the moment we're still kind of getting our marketing materials together and our sales packs together to kind of fully, I want to say, hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But our first, for the first year, it was like, let's get something there that people can tangibly go, okay, that's kind of along the lines of what we're wanting. And
Right.
obviously we can scale it up, as in the size of the boat, the design of the boat. We've got electric. We want to use electric propulsion.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And you know, things are like moving there, but also, you know, when you're like, oh, there's no stern drives yet that do this yet, but soon, you know, so you're aware that you're maybe also holding back to wait for technology advancing. Yeah.
Again, patience, right?
Yes.
It's
There you go.
Yeah.
any particular boats here at the festival that you've fallen in love with or that you find particularly interesting?
Loads. It
Yeah,
was
all of them.
Yes, all. So I go at it from a design point of view. So there was, this is me totally, it was actually just down there and it had a paddleboard roof. It was a total, no, I shouldn't. I'm not even sure if it was wood, but it was just this small boat, and the way they'd, the bimini was the paddleboard. And so for me, it's like the concept of how can you have it so that this thing can do, I love a 2-for-1.
Yes.
So from a design point of view, I just love things like that, where you go, oh, that's a feature that we could do something with in the future. Yeah.
Multifunctionality.
Yes. Yeah. And then obviously the beauties, I want to say tally ho. And, so I don't know their names, but Pilar, the Ernest Hemingway boat.
Yeah.
There's a couple that look like it here. So that's my I need to get on them to have a look, to do some geekiness. But yeah, just have been racing around this show.
So
From a
you're
presenter
looking
point of view.
from a design perspective.
Yeah.
Are you the designer at BlueTree?
So I'm the designer. I would say I'm not a naval architect. It's just, the physics and the kind of hydrodynamics. I just don't want to go there. I'm just like, leave it up to the scientists. I have a PhD, but not in that area.
Sure.
We're also looking at life cycle analysis of our boat. So we're plugging in the data that we've got on this boat. It takes a while to do, to then look at it in relation to a GRP boat, but it's all this, we've got to get funding to then look at certain aspects to get the right toolkits and calculators. So things just take a bit longer than you want. But yeah, that impacts the design.
Sure.
There's certain aspects on the boat that I designed, but it was Ben Rogerson Yacht Design who built the,
Awesome.
or did the
The actual
the
design.
drawings. Yeah.
I love the alternative wood that I'm seeing around a lot more lately, especially last 5 years maybe. Right over there, you can see Baby Blue. That's a plywood boat that is got a very unique, interesting design. What do you think of all the different woods that you're seeing here, the timber? And did you visit the local wood
Eden
store?
Saw?
Yeah.
Oh, I was told, I was, people were just like, you have to visit
Yeah.
the site with the wood. And I'm not going to have time. I can't believe it. Yeah. Apparently
time.
they were boat builders and they were just like, we need to have some wood that boat builders can use.
Yeah.
I need to come back.
I hope you're back next year. Absolutely. And that we get to hear that your company is 1 year further into success.
Yes.
We love what you're doing. And so thankful that you stopped by and said
Thank
hello.
you for inviting me.
Again, where can people find you?
The web address. What is
Web address. So BlueTreeBoatBuilders.com.
Just
Be right here.
BlueTreeBoatBuilders.com. We'll put that in the show notes. You are amazing. We're so happy that you all came from Europe and from other parts of the world. I feel like it has added a whole nother layer to this wonderful festival already.
Yeah.
I hope that you guys are back next year. And we will be following you and watching your success. And we're super excited about the future of sustainable boating.
Sustainable everything.
Everything.
I mean, our entire society.
Yeah,
needs to
obviously we needed to do it 20 years ago, but better late than never. And what you're doing is wonderful work. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the community and doing what you're doing. Stay strong. And we just really appreciate it. Thank you for being
As they say here, keep up the good work.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
thank you as well, Darren's.
Yes, Darren's. I like that. This has been another episode of the Boat Geeks podcast. And until next time, whatever floats your boat.
We're the boat geeks. Whatever floats your boat. We're the boat geeks. It's the boat that floats that we love the most. Yes, we love the boats. We're the boat geeks. Whatever floats your boat. Walk on the water, float on the sea, crossing the oceans between you and me. The wind in our hair, the salt on the breeze, bringing us closer, life on the sea.